Greetings, everybody. This is Lightstar, and I'm here talking today about authenticity versus ego and how to stay in your lane. So, I wanted to share this. I posted something on my Facebook wall, and it was about I think it was on my personal profile that I wanted to see what other people thought about what authenticity meant to them. And I got a whole bunch of responses, which I want to share in here because I thought it was very useful for people to really look into. We're always in the world looking at how people are are they being genuine? Are they being authentic? Are we being our authentic selves? And how to tell the difference and how to discern all these things. And so I thought it was an important exercise to really turn it around and say, well, let's just ask, what does authenticity mean in the first place? And it was very cool that I got some really great responses. And I actually did this video on YouTube. I'm sorry, on Facebook, but I don't even know if it went live. I was trying out the live thing, and I don't really know what I'm doing there. So I'm just volume wasn't super great. So I just thought I'd do this on YouTube, where I know I could get the volume and recording a little bit better. So let me just start off with that. There are a lot of things about authenticity that we all feel, and what is being genuine, and what is the definition of authenticity. So that's why I wanted to lead with that. And I'm going to first lead with when I posted this up on Facebook, I actually was asking you guys on Facebook, when actually this beautiful soul, Melissa, who actually turned it back and said, well, what does it mean to you? And I thought, oh, very good one, because I hadn't actually, put that down for myself. So I'm just going to say what I wrote first, and then I want to read a few of these other beautiful souls and what they said. So the first thing I'm going to say is that for me, authenticity means being in the state of cherishing and respecting the truth of our soul's essence with such integrity that we become a pure torchlight of congruence between our internal and external expressions. So for me, the word congruence means a lot when we're talking about being in our authentic self, because that actually means we're reflecting that congruence that is in ourself in the inside, and we're reflecting that outward so that it's also expressing it outward. And like I said, we have a lot of things in the world right now that we're trying to do a lot of discerning about what's genuine and what's authentic. And so we have to look at what that really means, and in order to be able to discern and to see what's true for us. Okay, it may not be true for the next person. So we have to look at the individual soul when it comes to this. So I want to share a few of these awesome statements from a few of the people on Facebook that posted, and I thought it was just great, so I wanted to put that on there. Melissa said, allowing your inner light to shine without the inner critic filtering in. That inner critic, right? The one that just keeps going and going and going and telling us all the things that we're not doing right, or we should be doing this, or we should be doing that, or why didn't we do this? And it can drive us crazy. So yes, putting that aside, off to the side, so that it doesn't interfere, is very important to being authentic. Jonathan said, it's a place where you find your inner child, since this is all they know. So the inner child work is so important to really get to the truth. I mean, little kids are totally authentic. They're totally genuine. They're just themselves. They don't care about what other people think or any of that. It's only when we impose all the rules upon the children that, oh no, you can't do that, no, you shouldn't be doing this. And I understand that we have to live in society, but it does also tend to shut down our genuine self. So it just does. Kimberly said, being true to the feelings that you feel inside your heart and acting on them and letting them shine and showing them, speaking them. Yes, yes, and more yes. Speaking out, speaking your truth, and feeling what's really true for you inside of your heart. So it's not coming from your head. We're going to be talking about this too, but the ego that comes from the mind and the head and on the analytical stuff, and the authenticity and the genuineness coming from the soul level and the heart. April, who had a little longer one, but I love it. I think it's awesome. To be authentic takes no effort. It means being your true self without an effort to alter yourself. It means not wearing a mask to be accepted or seen in an altered way. It means that you're not putting on an act to appear as someone you aren't. You're being yourself without any effort. To be authentic is to hold your truth, be yourself honestly and genuinely, even when it's uncomfortable or different. That just summed up everything. So thank you, April. That was like, done now, drop the mic. Awesome job. I love that description because that really kind of hits all levels. And especially when it becomes difficult, and especially in the face of that, to being your genuine true self and expressing when that is the most challenging thing, when it's difficult. Joanna says, just me, raw and real. Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. It's when you are raw. That's an awesome word to describe that. Just being raw. Just being, it's like not polished, not perfected, not having everything, all the I's dotted, the T's crossed. Just being, truthful and honest. It's really all it is. Jerry says, being oneself, no smoking mirrors. None of that magician stuff. None of that stuff that's going to be like, oh, well, this is the facade of who I am. But behind the scenes, no, you can't see that. So, yeah, none of that smoke and mirrors. Let's get rid of that. Daniel said, your authentic self is your soul made visible. Beautiful, amazing soul Daniel is, because he's just so wise. So another one of those wisdom moments for your cards, maybe, if you haven't done that already. Brian said to be completely honest and okay if others judge me for it. That's, again, one of those difficult situations, to be yourself, to be true, especially when people are judging you and criticizing you. Again, back to the critic. So judgment and criticism, but then standing in your truth and truly loving you no matter what anybody says or anyone thinks. Again, becoming the inner child where you just don't worry about what other people think. So see how all these are tying together? And then all the little dots coming together. Joanne said, sharing the truth no matter the consequences or reaction from the other. Again, going back to standing in that truth no matter what anybody else says, no matter how anybody else is reacting to what you are saying. Arcturian says, true to the center source within, loving all from my heart and acting upon that guidance. Absolutely, acting upon guidance is something we're going to get into also. So thank you guys. Oh, this last one is like kind of funny, but it's so true. Thomas says, being myself violates national security. So I laughed when I said this because I'm like, oh, that's an indigo right there. This is really, we've all been sort of asked to step up, but, especially the indigos who are like, no, it's not happening like that. And obviously we know our government, national security, all of the powers that be, elite group don't like that very much. They don't like us standing up and standing out and speaking out. So I love that one. Thank you very much. So thank you guys for sharing this. This is like, I love all of these because it sort of put it all together in a picture. It sounds so simple to know, like, what's authenticity, but sometimes it's very hard for us to go back to the basics and really go back to what's really, what that really means. And then we start to sort of get that renewal of that inspiration to become ourselves. So thank you guys for sharing that. First thing I want to do, though, is to go into what it looks like as we are not in our authentic self. What does that look like? Like, what are we feeling? What are we experiencing? And I did this, I picked a couple cards here from my Magical Dimensions Oracle cards. My own deck that I created that is going to be coming out this summer, probably towards the end of summer, I believe. But I just wanted to see what my cards would kind of show me, and they are so spot on accurate because I picked 3 cards, what the energies are when we're not in our authentic self, okay? So the first one we have is attachment. So when we're not in our authentic self, what are we feeling? We're usually feeling kind of fearful. We're feeling like scarcity or lack. We're kind of in this mode of feeling defensive or feeling that we don't trust. We kind of have this withholding kind of feeling about ourselves, other people. And so we kind of feel insecure about what's around us. Do we have enough? Should we, it's like all that stuff. So that's like spot on accurate. We also have the feeling of isolation. And isolation is not just isolation, but we're feeling like, in this case, usually this card comes up when it's, wanting to connect with home, but this also is representing the lone wolf, feeling like you have to do it all by yourself. There's no help. There's no support. I'm just doing this all by myself. I feel like totally alone. I'm totally disconnected. I'm not feeling connected because I'm just, all myself here. And some of that gets into victim mentality as well. But that's another big, strong feeling of when you're not in your authentic self. And also what you will be feeling is throat portal here, which is very much about expression. So most of the time you're going to be feeling suppressed. You're going to be feeling like you're holding things in. You're not able to speak your truth. You're fearful of what other people might think when you say something about yourself or what's true for you. You're not saying it because you're fearful. You're suppressing your genuine voice. And so that's what this throat portal is kind of symbolizing as well. So those three kind of make up what it's like when you're really not in your authentic self and you're not feeling that way. So let's go to the opposite now. What happens when you are in your authenticity, and what are you feeling in that case? And once again, accuracy, what are we feeling? Okay, here we're feeling, this is awakening. We're feeling awakened. We're feeling alive. We're feeling connected. We're feeling like the totality of who we are, the love for ourselves, the acceptance for ourselves. We're just feeling this vitalizing connectiveness to our soul. That's when we are feeling in our true authentic self. Very true. And what else we are feeling is we're feeling the root portal, which is all about feeling grounded, feeling centered. We're in our strength. We are not in our ego strength. We're in our balanced strength. Here we feel supported. Here we feel that support beneath our feet. We know that we have support. We know we're taken care of. This is very, very true. And then we also, which I love this one, which also has to do with, this is celestial assistance. So what are we feeling here? We're feeling now, we're actually in our authentic self. We're feeling connected to our higher self. We're feeling connected to our guides, our angels, all the love beings that are around us, love and light beings. We're feeling guidance that's coming through, and we're honoring that guidance. We're acting upon the guidance now, coming from within, coming from spirit and the soul. Okay, so it's very different where we are trusting ourselves and we're trusting our choices. So I love that because I just wanted to set that up so we know like what kind of feelings and emotions we're feeling when we're kind of not in our higher self or in our authentic self, and when we're in our authentic self, so we know the difference. So what I'd like to do now is give you a bit of sharing some tips about how to stay in your lane. This is tips that you can take as well as just integrate and insights into your being in your authentic self. So one of the first, these are a couple points that are very important here. One of them is vital, and it's like the first vital thing, is to know thyself. This is knowing who you are at the core of your being, and also not just that, but knowing your strengths and your, what I like to call challenges instead of weaknesses, but some people would say strengths and weaknesses, but knowing what those are and being very clear on, what your struggles are. And the reason why is because you need to know what your lower vibrational Achilles heel is. You need to know what that is. Where, like for instance, do you have the propensity towards negatively based thinking or fearful thinking? Do you have the propensity more towards worthlessness or perhaps even doubt, doubting yourself, insecurities? These are all different sort of ways of the ego. Okay, we're talking about ego, where it's sort of the ego's way in. It's like the open door of, or I should say the open back door of the ego's way in. So in order to be able to shift into authenticity, you have to know what those particular back doors, where you've left the back door open. And it's just flapping in the wind with the screen door, just okay, well, whatever. We need to know where that is, and so that we can address it. So that's a really important thing. Is also the ego has weaknesses too, and the weaknesses for the ego would be love, feeling vulnerable, feeling exposed, because the ego doesn't like all of that. It likes to have it all together and in control and in some semblance of safety and having that sort of safety net. It's not the kind of safety that we were talking about earlier. When the ego gets involved, it's this safety of like panic and kind of like, it's not a balanced sense of safety, and sometimes it's a false sense of safety. So knowing your weaknesses and knowing where that negative energy can come in through the back door. There's a great movie that I love to illustrate this also, is called The Devil's Advocate. It was with Keanu Reeves, Al Pacino, Charlize Theron, I believe. And great movie, go see it. But it really captures that essence of that, knowing how we, as humans especially, it's like we get sucked into this sort of view of what we're supposed to have, what we're supposed to be, the money, the women, the highlights, the entertainment, and all these things that we look and like, oh, that looks so great, the fame and the fortune and all of that, when yet that is something the ego is after or likes to feel comfortable in, but the soul itself really doesn't. Okay, the soul itself, that genuine, authentic self, really doesn't have a attachment to that stuff. It doesn't have a draw to those things. It doesn't mean that you can't have those things. It just means that the ego is more attached to it than your genuine soul is. Your soul is kind of willing to be like, who cares? Throw that to the wind. Let's go expand and grow. That's the feeling. So we want to be very aware, though, of those kind of, where the sort of devil can come in and sort of sideswipe us, and vanity at the end, where that's a great line where he says vanity, it's like gets them every time, because they know that's the draw, that's the catch for a lot of people, is vanity, and it will just get them every time. So we have to become aware. There's a huge thing, is know thyself. So the second part to this is refraining from comparing yourselves to other people's success. This is a huge thing. Okay, and I have a little trick here that I'm going to have you guys incorporate into your life to help you with this one. Because when you look at other people and you're looking at what they're doing, whether it be on YouTube or whether it be on stage or whether it be on movies or TV or wherever you're seeing it, and you're envying them and comparing yourself to them, and then putting yourself down in the place of like not being like them, or not having enough, or not having enough money, or not having enough fame, or whatever it is that you're wanting. This is like really important, okay? You need to put a statement after that thought. Sometimes we can't avoid those thoughts like from coming in. I mean, you can, but it takes a lot of practice on that. So I say to help in this process is when the thoughts come in, to put the and or but or however after that thought. So let me give you an example. The first one, because you got to nip it in the bud like right away. Otherwise you don't retrain yourself. So say you're going to be comparing yourself, okay, this mental comparison He or she is doing better than me. Okay, that's a very common thought. He or she is doing better than me. But what if you were to put after that statement, he or she is doing better than me, but I'm unique in my delivery of this particular topic or whatever you're doing. So you put this sort of positive spin on it at the end. Another example, say this is an insecure thought. They have something that I don't have, or something that I don't. Now, what if you put, they have something that I don't, and I love them for their unique expression? That puts a spin on it, so it says it's completely the opposite, where you're saying you're not putting yourself down, you're just saying, wow, and you're honoring somebody else for their beauty and for their gift. That, in a sense, honors yourself in your own gifts. Very powerful. The last one I would say is like when there's an envious thought. Why can't I be like that? Now we're going to say, why can't I be like that? Or perhaps I have some of those qualities and I'm just not acknowledging them. See, it makes a totally different statement. So it actually shifts your mind and perception. So this strategy will help you with this, because this is a huge thing in this community, at least that I see going on. And I'm not going to tell you like, oh, I never do this. I have done this. I do this sometimes myself. And this really helps me from refraining from that. So I just want to, I'm right there with you guys, okay? It's not me just going, oh, this is all how you do it. I'm just saying these are suggestions that have really helped myself in this process. So now we move on to listen to your authentic voice. Always want to listen to that authentic voice. Sometimes we're not listening so that we don't actually get the message. But when we're listening to that authentic voice, which is not about the ego's voice coming in telling you you should be doing that, you should be doing this. It's about bypassing that and moving down into resonance and into alignment. So this is, what are you feeling resonance with? What are you feeling aligned with? And what are you not feeling in alignment with? So it's like if you're seeing somebody on a YouTube channel and you're all enamored with what they're doing, you're like, wow, this is awesome. And but yet you're feeling something not quite in alignment with you in your gut or somewhere in your body or just something, even though it all looks good on the outside. Again, all that glitters may not always be gold, but you don't know what's going on behind the scenes, but something you may just feel like that's just not in alignment with who I am or what's going on with me. You have to trust that, okay? Having said that, there are some instances where you may feel some resonance with it regardless. You may still feel like, wow, I'm feeling this, I'm resonating with this, even though it may not be like face value or there's not some truth coming to that. But the reason why you'll be drawn or you'll feel a resonance is because you either have a karmic situation with that, or you're just needing to learn a particular lesson, and so you may need to have that experience. You may need to go through that. So let's do this without judgment. Let's not judge it and judge other people and judge our own experiences. Let's just go into the place where we're feeling a resonance or an alignment with something. And if we're in alignment with something that turns out later to be, oh God, why did I do that? Know that in that moment, that's where you were. And you were in alignment and you were matching that alignment at that time. And you learned the lesson that you hopefully had to learn by going through the process. So this is why you can see both sides of being in alignment, feeling whether you're being in alignment and being and trusting your authentic voice, because your authentic voice and your soul voice will tell you if you need to go through something, it will let you go through that. It will make those decisions. And sometimes that's why we feel compelled. We don't know why. We're just maybe not, God, something feels weird about it, but I just am compelled to do that. A lot of times that's why. You either have a karmic tie, or you're going to be learning some lesson, or both. Could be both. So that's really important. Now I want to move to this is kind of going along with deciphering your sort of the truth, getting to the truth, from all the hype and the entertainment factor in life, which is abundant in our world. All the entertainment and all of this and that and the flashy and the facades and all of that stuff. But we have to realize that authenticity has depth. So we want to look for the deeper truth, the deeper meaning in ourselves or in what someone else is bringing. You have to look beyond the mask and beyond that and really start to come from a place so that you can come from a place of strength and empowerment and seeing that towards others. And again, not judging others, but just seeing it for what it is and the truth for what it is for you. What's the energy behind it? Another words of saying this is what is the what is the intention behind it? What is the motivation behind what you're making a decision on or what someone else is bringing or what's in front of your path and how to react to that. This is also knowing the motivation and the intention behind it so that you can read between the lines. That's what's really important, is to be able to read between the lines. So that was very, very important kind of thing. Now, this is another thing to be very aware of when you're trying to get to your authentic self, is whether you are expanding or whether you are contracting. So it's whether this expansion or contraction. What are you feeling about something? What are you feeling about yourself and speaking out on something? Do you feel expanded or do you feel contracted? Is this decision before you that you have to make, whether you do this thing or that thing? Is that feeling expansion or is it feeling contraction? These are these are hints of your soul trying to speak to you through your body and through your emotional state of what feels like it might be a good thing for you to do or what feels not so great to do. Now, if you're feeling contracted because you're really feeling like you want to speak out about something, but then you're feeling contracted, that's something you have to look at as well. That is suppression. Okay, so there's a few fine threads in here. But when you're really looking at, am I feeling expanded or am I feeling more like this doesn't feel like a right decision for me because the energy feels kind of like choking me or cutting me off. Not that I'm holding myself back, but this doesn't feel quite right to me, and that I'm going to be in my genuine voice and in my listening to that voice, listening to the contraction and realizing that this doesn't feel like a very good resonance for me at this time. And knowing that that may shift and change too. You know, we're not like set in stone. Not everything is just the way it is, and it's not like black or white. Our life is gray area, right? We live in the gray area. That's really where we're supposed to be doing our best work, is in the gray area, not the black and white. But the black and white teaches us lessons, so it's very beneficial as well. And so I also want to say, this is another thing that this is probably one of the hugest things at our time in this world right now, is lastly to make a commitment to yourself to not be a sheeple, to not be a muggle, to not follow the norm of what everybody else is doing, what everyone else is thinking, and what you're supposed to be, and what you're, stop that. You got to make the commitment of yourself to say, wow, I am really going to honor who I really am, what I really feel with inside of me, and not just go spinning my wheels because my parents felt like told me I was supposed to do this, or this is what all my friends are doing, the peer pressure. We need to step out of that and have our own minds, literally, our own minds, our own hearts, and getting into that authenticity of who we really are. The example I would give is, say you're a parent and you're bringing up your child because all of your family members are all doctors in the family, or they're all lawyers in the family. And so you raise your child to be like, well, you're next in line, so you're just supposed to be a doctor or attorney. Well, what if your child has no interest in being a doctor or attorney? That child wants to be an artist, a musician, wants to be something, whatever. It could be airplane pilot, whatever. wants to be something different other than a doctor or a lawyer or whatever it is. Now, that particular child grows up just having this imposed upon them, and usually what happens is that they will end up going that route, getting into med school or law school or wherever, getting out and getting into this job and hating it. And what happens when you really are disliking what you're doing, it's not of resonance to you, it's not authentic to you and to who you are, and so you start breaking down. You start having either illness in the body or emotional problems or depression, any one of the many different myriad of negative, lower vibrational energies will come in and overtake. I'm not saying in every case, I'm just using this as an example of how we need to have that child step away from the norm, to step out of the sheeple kind of, Muggleville that they're just imposed upon and just don't have the mind of their own. And they need to step out and say, no, this is what I want to do. This is what my heart feels. I want to be an artist. I want to go do this. I want to pursue this. So this is where we have to listen really hard to the inner voice, to our inner soul, to what calls to us, and not just what everybody else is doing and thinking and expecting of us. So that's like a humongous thing. So these are all tips and tricks. What I feel is to build this relationship within yourself, within your authentic voice, so that you can build this muscle even stronger. This is a very important muscle that we all have to learn in this world of opposition and duality. And some of these are lessons for us to be able to shift into our authentic self, because how else would we know to be able to shift into our authentic voice is if we are in what isn't our authentic voice. So sometimes we have to learn from its opposite. So hopefully this is a benefit to you guys. I want to say, that saying that we are a spirit all having a human experience, I feel that yes, that is true, but I want to say with this also, we are also, those of us who resonate with starseed, we are starseed and hybrids having a human experience, because your spirit is larger than that, but we also have connections with these other realms, so that we're also an ET or hybrid having a human experience. So we have layers of ourselves to uncover, and layers of ourselves to begin to understand our true authentic selves and who we really are on those multidimensional levels. It's very important. We're not here. Let me give you an example too. I like this example of Miss America pageants. Whoever thought of that, I don't know. But the Miss America pageants are all these different pageants where the beautiful soul comes up and they're being asked, what do you feel is the most important thing in this world today, that we need to do in this world today? And you always hear the thing of world peace. I want world peace. It's like, really? Okay, because my view of when you say, great, that's a wonderful thing to say, we all want world peace. But is that really true in your life? If you were to get to the authentic self, really would it say that? Or would it say, what I really want is inner peace. I really want the inner peace. And think about it. If you had the inner peace and your authentic voice is saying, I want inner peace, and you focus with the inner peace first, don't you think that would create the outer peace, and that creates world peace? But we have to start with the authenticity of us and having that within us. It's just one example of that, but in the overview of, what's going on. So, having said that, this has been the overview of all the tips and tricks of how to stay in your lane of authenticity and not get wrapped up into the ego. So hopefully that has been a benefit. I want to also throw this in here at the end. I did this also on the on the Facebook video as well. Cheryl asked a great question. This has to do with star seeds, so I want to address this. I will probably go into this maybe in another video when the topic is on that, but I'm just putting this in at the end because it came in, and I don't know how often I do these videos, so I just want to get this out there. So the question that she asked was on star seeds and wanderers, and she asked, what is the difference between a star seed and a human who is not a star seed? Didn't we all just originate somewhere else? Well, I love this question because it's very important distinction, and I'm coming from my perspective, so everybody else might have a different perspective, and I'm honoring theirs and all of that. But I just want to share what my perspective is on this, is that I look at human beings, humans, just a human who has chosen to, as they come out the gate, as a soul, has chosen to incarnate on earth primarily. And so what happens is their choice to come to earth first is to incarnate over and over and over in the cycle here on earth. So they generally originate because that's where they just keep revolving around in terms of incarnation. Now when we look at star seeds have had the choice, necessarily they first originated on a different planet, universe, dimension, someplace else, could be universes, like different universes, but they have originated elsewhere. They had their first blueprints or footprints elsewhere other than Earth, but that they've also had abilities or choices to come to Earth and incarnate as well. So they have have had different choices. So it's a matter of their soul and what it chose to do when it was first out of the gate as a soul, and where it chose to kind of have its first experiences or incarnations are really experiences and soul experiences. And so it becomes star seeds have the choice sometimes to come back here, and a lot of star seeds actually have been here on earth incarnating for thousands of cycles. They have a certain job that they've really wanted to do to earth. It's very important to them, and it's part of their mission, and they keep coming back because it's what they have to do. Now some star seeds choose not to come to earth as often. That would be me. Most of the star seeds usually they don't really want to, like, they're not feeling like Earth is really their home. They're usually wanting to go home that's off planet somewhere, feeling a resonance elsewhere other than here, not really feeling like this is their home. But humans that have incarnated over and over and over in the cycle of Earth feel very connected to Earth, feel very much like this is their home, and this is where they belong, and this is where they want to clean up and help. They want to help too. Not all of them are as awakened or as spiritually inclined in every single lifetime, but along the evolvement, they do get that process of choices, different experiences, and then eventually we'll get to the point where they would maybe want to, and get to the point where they are ready to perhaps go elsewhere. But they definitely feel a very strong connection to Earth. This is their home. This is where they feel they reside and resonate with. Star seeds are usually like, I'm out of here, man, this place. We know we have a job to do. We have to be here, and it's important for us to be here. But if we had a choice, we did have the choice, but I'm saying, like, some of us would be like, yeah, I kind of done and want to go home, and it's not here. So there is a difference between that. I just want to say there's no higher or lower. It's not like star seeds are better than the human souls, or, let's just get rid of that, because that just gets into hierarchy and ego again. We're not going there. Everyone's on a different experience, and that's really all it is. It's a different experience, a unique experience, but everyone has something to bring. Everybody has something to share on this planet. Whether you are a human incarnation or not, necessarily, you have something to bring here, and you have something to share, because you wouldn't be here in incarnation right now if you weren't. So hopefully that helps a little bit. I think that's about it for now. I have some other questions I'm probably going to answer on another video, but for now, I hope this has been a benefit to you. So if you guys would like to work with me further, you can always find me on lightstarcreations.com. On my website, you can check out all my starseed alignment sessions, which are very popular, as well as my oracle card readings and all my other different types of light language activations and chakra clearings and all that good stuff, as well as my artwork. And you can check all of that out on there. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel here if you're not already subscribed. And you can join my email list, which is on my website, and all sorts of different ways to get a hold of me through Facebook as well, on my Facebook page under Lightstar Attunement Art. And I send you guys all blessings and lots of love and light. Be your authentic self from now forward as best you can. Remember all these things as you're going throughout your day, and as things come up, just remember, be yourself. Listen to your authentic voice. Don't compare yourself. Know yourself and know your weaknesses. Listen and speak your authentic voice, and be discerning of what's around you and knowing how to decipher this. And most importantly, don't be a muggle. Don't be a muggle. Don't be a muggle. Stop with the sheeple. Move on to your own, what feels right to you, and act upon that. And with that said, I send you blessings of love, light from the angelics, the galactics, and the elementals. Lots of love. Bye now.